Supporting your local news, Airpark Canterbury, Logistics Drive and Parking Island off Rustley Road.
Were you surprised by today's announcement?
We're absolutely delighted by today's announcement from Minister Peters, and we're absolutely hoping that that would go in the right outcome so that the welfare of the dogs are protected. And we are absolutely thrilled that we have a definite decision. We have a time frame that we can work with, that we can help rehome all of the dogs that are in the racing industry and allow for a transition period for people that their livelihoods depend on greyhounds. So it is a fair and just process, and we are absolutely thrilled.
In Mr. Peters' statement, he said that the greyhound racing industry did try to clean up its act, but obviously not to a level that he was satisfied with as racing minister. Are you surprised by those comments?
No, we're not surprised. The industry has been under review for 33 months now. There has been 3 independent reviews on greyhound racing in New Zealand over the past decade. It is very clear that they all state the sport is inherently dangerous and the only right decision is to ban it. And the injury and death rates in the sport just make it unsustainable. It's lost its social licence, and this is an incredible win for greyhounds.
It's interesting you talk about losing its social licence, because the argument that many of the racers or many of the dog owners would often say is that they absolutely love their dogs. They're treated with the utmost respect and they just love them so much. But I could never figure out, if that's the case, then why there's so many greyhound rescue operations right across, plenty in Christchurch in fact, but right across New Zealand. If they love them so much, why do they get rid of them after they're not used to them after racing them in the first place?
Absolutely, very good point. And the fact of the matter is if they really love their dogs, they wouldn't actually be racing them commercially because of the inherent risks in the sport and the fact that there is a absolutely unacceptably high injury rate and death rate of these greyhounds, let alone the conditions that they're kept in otherwise. So we absolutely applaud this decision. We know it has support of Parliament and we know it has support of the New Zealand public. We know that if there was a referendum to ban greyhound racing today, that 75% of New Zealanders would vote to ban it. So the Minister has done the absolute right decision here. We know it was challenging for him. We know he took his time to get there, and we've been working with the Minister and the Department of Internal Affairs collaboratively over the past number of years, and we have now got to a position that we can now activate our Greyhound Rehoming Coalition that we set up 2 years ago to now work collaboratively with the industry to help rehome all of these wonderful greyhounds, because they make amazing pets. And we are so thrilled that the Minister is putting through a bill through the House this afternoon to make, under urgency, to make it illegal to kill a greyhound unless there is legitimate health and welfare reasons. And it has to be done by a veterinarian. And so you can't just kill greyhounds for economic reasons. So this is absolutely fantastic. The welfare of these dogs are going to be safeguarded whilst the bill is introduced next year to actually ban the industry on the 1st of August 2026.
Now, it's interesting you talk about Mr. Peters wanting this other legislation to make sure that owners can't kill their dogs. I mean, for me, that was a double-edged sword. It was absolutely shocking to read that because, of course, we don't want to be killing innocent animals. But at the same time, he's suggesting that if these dogs are now used to their owners, they will kill them. How disturbing is that?
It's incredibly disturbing, but we do know that there's a lot of disposability in the greyhound racing industry. As you mentioned earlier, if there wasn't, there wouldn't be so many greyhound rescues set up all across New Zealand, and as well as the normal conventional rescues and animal welfare centres taking in greyhounds as well. So if there wasn't this disposability, these rescues wouldn't exist. So the fact of the matter is that they are disposable. We don't want the killing of these dogs by people within the industry. The Minister doesn't want that. He's putting in this legislation to protect their life, to protect the welfare of these dogs, and we absolutely applaud that. It is disturbing, though, isn't it, that the Minister actually has to do this.
Yeah, it is disturbing. I want to read you a statement that's just come through from Greyhound New Zealand. It said it emphasises its continued belief that the sport has a legitimate place in the country's racing industry and highlights the efforts the code has made to addressing animal welfare concerns. The organisation signalled its intent to engage with government to present its case and seek a review of the decision, which it argues is not grounded in facts. Your response?
It absolutely is grounded in facts, and we support the Minister on this decision. We also acknowledge that Greyhound Racing New Zealand over the past year or two have made some improvements, but it is not to the point that it is acceptable to the New Zealand public and certainly not acceptable to the New Zealand government. So we appreciate that they have made some improvements, but the fact of the matter exists still. There have been consecutive reviews, independent reviews on the industry. They all point to the fact that significant improvements needed to be made, and they weren't made. Some have been made, some improvements have been made, but the fact of the matter is that the levels of injuries and death is just unacceptable, and there is no social licence left for greyhound racing in New Zealand, and we can't bring on the 1st of August 2026 soon enough.
Do you worry that there will be some cases where greyhounds will be euthanized illegally as a result of this bill? And how are we going to stop that?
Yes, we worry about that, absolutely. It is a concern. The Minister knows it's a concern, hence why this bill is going under urgency.
Yeah.
But it is a risk that the Minister is unwillingly able to accept. We just hope that this bill sends a very strong message to everyone involved with greyhound racing in New Zealand that they cannot just kill their dogs because greyhound racing is coming to an end in New Zealand, and that they have to rehome them. Greyhounds make fantastic pets, and we know we have a strategy, we have an operational plan, we have it worked out to the last dog in terms of a multi-pronged approach with our Greyhound Rehoming Coalition to rehome all of these dogs and to work with the industry, the Minister and the Department of Internal Affairs and the new advisory committee that the Minister also announced to actually get all of these dogs rehomed, which is what they deserve after having to engage in an inherently dangerous sport.
Really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.